time for Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in to Bringing the Heat. I am the aforementioned Trey Lyle, and Caleb Barnes already here. Well, unfortunate, no interview, no Into the Inferno segment this week, but we're just putting it on pause for this week, hoping to have it back next week. So we're just going to dive right into the topics. The latest news with what's still hot.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
What's still hot? Caleb Barnes. Glad to have it here. Rocking the Liberty hat, rocking the Chevy camo. I like it. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. I don't know. I was wearing this today and thought I'd throw on the Liberty hat. My brother's going back to college this weekend, getting there a little early, so just had to represent him a little bit. But doing great, ready to join. There's been a lot of chatter about a lot of topics, so I'm excited to see what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah, let's dive into the 2026 Iowa Corn 350, the race we just came off of. Ty Gibbs gets his second win on the season. He is performing well. But I do want to talk to you about that last lap battle. It was a bold strategy call by Christopher Bell. We're going to actually talk more about Bell specifically with our soundbite of the week, but I do want to pivot in terms of the race itself, and Ty Gibbs gets the win, second win of the season. More importantly, he is now second in points. Denny Hamlin, by the way, Ty Gibbs, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick all have clinched a chase spot. Is Ty Gibbs maybe the most underrated guy amongst the group right now in terms of a true championship contender?
I think he's got to be. I mean, I see people talking about Bell with that runner-up finish. He's had so many second-place finishes that some people are like, well, if Bell gets hot, he can get up there and make a ton of noise. But then you got Tyler Reddick. Who knows what's going on with him with the slump? But we saw him win 5 races at the start of the season, and I think everybody expects Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney to be pretty consistent front runners. But Ty Gibbs is one of those that, like, whenever you look at any given week, this is no offense to Ty Gibbs, but it feels like he's in like that second or third position out of the JGR cars at any given week. So you're maybe not paying the most attention to him, but he's had a lot of speed early in races this season, and they put races together better this year. But this past weekend was one of those where he got that speed going the right direction and was able to carry it all the way through. He didn't have any issues late in the race. That there's been some of that this year where he's had some late race issues on pit road or other things that have kind of dropped him down the running order. So it's one of those things. I mean, he's got those 2 wins now. They're both on the short tracks, but I don't think Ty Gibbs is necessarily just like a short track guy. I mean, he won on all sorts of types of tracks in the Xfinity, now O'Reilly series. So him being all the way in second, it's a pretty far gap to Denny Hamlin. And I mean, we'll see what the points reset. That's the thing I'm most anticipating, is like the 2 or 3 weeks after the points reset to see what direction these guys go. Because at this point, I feel like although Ty Gibbs and Ryan Blaney have closed that gap a little bit, I feel like that's a really long way to go and try to catch Denny Hamlin for the regular season. But once we get into the chase, will Denny start to rebuild that lead again, or will Ty and Ryan Blaney be right there step for step? And I think there's a really good chance that they can be. I think Ty Gibbs can have some sneaky speed and be really big at collecting stage points. And I think that's going to maybe keep him in the fight once we get into the chase for the championship. He definitely is a really good dark horse kind of sneaky pick to go and be competitive for that once we get to the end of the season.
Yeah, you think about it. You look at Denny and Ty. Denny has now a 103-point lead on the number 1 regular season title. Surprising that Ty's jumped to second. I think Chase Briscoe jumping up to 5th has been a pleasant surprise. Like his surgence this summer. I want to throw in though panic level for Tyler Reddick. He is now dropped to 4th in the standings. He had a lap 1 incident at Iowa. He's had the worst summer imaginable for a guy who won. I mean, we thought at some point his points lead was untouchable. If you're part of that 45 team, in terms of like just finding something, where if I gave you a 1 to 10 panic scale, where would you put it?
I'd probably put it pretty high, up around an 8. I think like the primary goal for the team just needs to be finishing races. Like I don't know if it's a driver thing, if if he's felt the pressure and has kind of gotten in his own way. I don't know how much the team can do or how much they need to do with the car, not or necessarily, but like I just think what that team needs to focus on to stabilize and get back to being the competitive team that we saw earlier this year. I think they need to take these next 2 weeks at Richmond and New Hampshire and just focus on finishing the races, even if that means giving up some spots with speed or strategy. And I mean, that's something that's really hard to talk to the driver about, especially a guy like Tyler Reddick, who's super aggressive. It's super hard to be like, hey, like, can you tone it down a little bit? But that just needs to be the number one goal right now, is just finishing races, getting back that confidence of, hey, we can do this, we can finish. Maybe you guys take a top 10 car and finish in the top 15 with it just to play it safe. But I think that's the best way for that team to build a foundation for the confidence to get prepared. Because I mean, Daytona is Daytona, and I don't think that one necessarily throws any teams into a panic. But if they have more issues at Richmond and New Hampshire and then go into Daytona and have another issue, I think that's enough to, even though the chase is 10 races long, I think just this summer stretch, if that continues in and through Daytona, I think that is enough to knock a team off of its hot streak momentum that it started the year off with. So I think they're pretty panicking right now, but these next 2 weeks, they just have to be what's the baseball analogy? You just got to hit some singles, maybe some doubles, like just you don't got to hit it out of the park, man. You just got to get on base and kind of set up some basic strategies, basic cars, and basic races, and try to get that confidence back.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You ready? This is his run over the last stretch of races.
Ooh, I'm not ready. Ooh.
We're gonna start in Michigan. All right. 35th. He did get second in Pocono. 25th in San Diego. 36th in Sonoma. 36th in Chicago. 8th in Atlanta. 30th in North Wilkesboro, 10th in Indianapolis, and then 36th in Iowa.
Ooh.
And that's after winning 5 of the first 9 races.
That's rough. I think I don't remember
the spectrum. Like, he theoretically could finish that strong, and he's still is in a good position. And if you were like, if he had 5 wins and they were a little bit more spread out, maybe not all at the beginning of the season, and these last place finishes were not all clustered at the same time, you're feeling pretty good about Tyler Reddick. But the fact that it's been so one like Jekyll and Hyde, it does feel pretty jarring to see on the screen there. I do quickly want to go chase cutoff. It's starting to feel like like we're gonna look for, we'll say 4 guys, maybe 5 guys for 2 spots. You have SVG and then Austin Cindric currently in at minus 379 and 397. Now, I'm not going to do the math off the top of my head because that's just too much work. Then you have Priest as the first one out at minus 426. Ross, who's had a really good Iowa, minus 444. Brad K at minus 445. Eric Jones at minus 447. If you're those 2 guys, because you look at Bubba Wallace, that's 20 more points to the good is Bubba Wallace. So I feel like at this point, I'm not going to say he's in, because he could have, again, when his own teammate has had like 4 last place finishes in the last 2 months. I can't fully say that, but you could also argue his other teammate, who we'll get into in a second, has won two of those races. So, but ultimately, how do you assess the chase cutoff points at this point?
I think the biggest question mark, the biggest concern has to be for SVG. I think he probably likes his shot at Daytona a little bit more. And then even I go back and forth a little bit on short tracks with, like, sometimes you saw with those road course ringers that like braking style would sort of transfer over to some of the short tracks. And he was pretty good at North Wilkesboro, and that he was running the truck race that weekend, and he's running trucks this weekend at Richmond. We'll see how that translates over. But the Fords have been really good at the short tracks, and like seeing Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski, like those are 2 that especially Ryan Preece, just his background. I expect him to really make a push to try and close that. I mean, it's these 2 weeks, it's now or never. Like, of course, we talk about Daytona, anything can happen. It's not the same as past years where you win and you're in, but there can still be some pretty big points gained or lost at Daytona. But at the same time, I think Priest has got to be licking his chops. But then also, I mean, Ross Chastain, if you've heard Denny Hamlin talk about it, Denny Hamlin still like kept like pushing and had this faith that Ross Chastain was going to show up, and really he hadn't until this past weekend. So I think you could see like both of those guys make a really strong push. I'm not as in on Brad Keselowski or Eric Jones, but yeah, SVG is the main one that I'm worried about with the speed that we've seen out of Penske on the short tracks. I think this is a big opportunity for Austin Cindric to build his gap. And then yeah, you mentioned Bubba, just like back and forth, like one or two bad races could put him in a really bad spot. But at the same time, he's kind of in a position where he would need to have like a couple bad races, and the guys below him would need to have really good races.
So Bob Pockris did the math for me. Shout out Bob. I went back. He's 68 points. He's 68 points to the good. So a perfect race is 76 points, right? If I'm not mistaken, because it's 55 for the win. Then you add 2 for this, 20 for the stage, and then 1 for the fastest lap. So that's 76 points. So he's essentially spotted a race from the cut. Yes. Essentially.
And that would be like if he was last place and Ryan Preece won
the race, won all the stages, got the fastest lap. And then it would be and that would be Bubba half finish 36, which is like 1 point. So anyways, looking at this, we will keep moving on. So I sort of teased this. Interesting note. Apparently, the NASCAR Rookie of the Year eligibility is changing, according to Mike Ford during Hauler Talk. He mentioned that Corey Haim, Corey Haim would be eligible for the Rookie of the Year starting next year when he goes full time. The new criteria per Ford is that the Cup Series, a driver can have no more than 12 starts prior to the season they want to declare for Rookie of the Year. It's 10 starts in O'Reilly's and 8 in Craftsman. A driver is not automatically eligible upon entering a new series and running it full time for the first time. A team must apply for a driver to be eligible for Rookie of the Year, and NASCAR will then consider that request. Haim has already made 15 starts in the Cup Series since 2024, has 4 more starts left on his schedule this season. Ford also revealed that Haim could have competed for Rookie of the Year this season, but did not apply for it. So if that was the case, by the way, he would actually, we can't even tell because his points don't count for a Cup. So I don't know how many points he would have earned if he would be ahead of Connor Zilic. So, with the 2 wins and how bad Zilic has been,
close.
It would have been interesting. But do you think this is fair of NASCAR to prevent Corey Haim from competing for the Rookie of the Year next year, or is it like Haim is the unique case of, all right, since he's won twice and he has made enough Cup starts, like there's kind of no point for him going for the Rookie of the Year next year?
It's a weird thing where like this has always been ambiguous, kind of for a reason. I feel like because just other drivers, if a guy comes in and makes 15 to 20 starts over the course of 3 to 5 years, like that guy doesn't necessarily feel like a rookie in their first full-time season because they've already been around the block kind of enough, like I would have been fine if SVG wasn't categorized as a rookie last year, because he had already come in and won. I mean, he won the very first race he was in, and then was very good, at least in the road courses that he competed in 2024. And like, I just think that's why that's always been ambiguous. It's because it's a driver by driver basis. And I think it's just kind of unnecessary to add like a strict, be like, oh, we're going to cut it off at this specific number of starts. Like that just feels unnecessary, but at the same time, it maybe just helps to have that rule in the book. I think my biggest problem with it is I would like for this to have been something that's like kind of comes out in the off season as we're talking about rules changes, any of those, that sort of thing, as opposed to all of a sudden just kind of a random news podcast drop in the middle or I guess closing in on like the second half of the season. Like that's something that whether it was at the start of the season and Corey Heim and Denny Hamlin have the opportunity to adjust their schedule to make him qualify for Rookie of the Year better just because running less races this year is automatically going to hurt his chances, or he could take some races off the calendar this year to put towards making an actual Rookie of the Year bid. If all that makes sense, it just feels like they're making it like a random throwaway thing when it's like, hey, wait a second, there's a lot going on. Like we really should stop and talk about this a little bit more, as opposed to it just kind of being a throwaway thing. And like I would have much rather preferred to have in this offseason than be like, hey, we're going to establish these guidelines for Rookie of the Year. But by the way, we're going to still grandfather Corey Heim into that. Although I guess he has been making starts in the Cup Series since 2024. But at the same time, it just, I don't know. I hate it for Corey Heim and that crew, because I feel like that would have been like a legendary rookie season that we all talk about. Even though I know that he does have those 2 wins. And again, that's the tricky thing about how it's been so ambiguous in the past. But I think just with kind of his trajectory and his background and everything, I think he deserved to have that option if he wanted to be a rookie next year. So it's just a weird situation. It's just like another one of those things of like, there's so many things going on that we feel like we should be focusing on with a racing product and short tracks and super speedways and all this. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make a new rule about who can and can't be Rookie of the Year. And by the way, it's going to affect one of the best up and coming drivers who is making their first full-time season next year. So it just feels unnecessary. And that's the frustrating part about it.
So we're looking at this. Will there even be a Rookie of the Year battle next year? I don't
know. Yeah, that's another.
The only way would be is if I guess FRM makes a change and brings one of their truck drivers up. Well, but didn't they already announce Chandler Smith is not back? Next year. So
and is Zillage the only rookie this year?
Yes, Connor Zillage will be the Rookie of the Year this year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So hey, he's got to get something out of the season.
Hey, he had a good finish at Iowa, so credit to him. So maybe that just stirs the tide. All right. Speaking of this, NASCAR is deciding to bring North Wilkesboro back to the All-Star race after a trip to Dover this season. But more importantly to me, we will have a NASCAR triple header weekend at North Wilkesboro, the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. So 2-part question, which are not great. It's forbidden. Shout out to Bill Roth in my sports media classes. But first part, thoughts on the O'Reilly series heading back, which will be the first time since 1985 they returned to North Wilkesboro. But it appears that NASCAR will get unique and try some new things. So this was part of the statement. Like one hot night under the lights, NASCAR All-Star Race has a history of trying things both for fun and competition. One-off paint scheme, double file restarts, different rules packages, stage racing, inversions, promoter cautions, undercar neon lighting, and more have been a part of the All-Star Race history, and in some cases are now staples of the sport. 2027 may feature another twist as the industry considers how North Wilkesboro could be the ultimate Cup Series test track for future improvements. NASCAR plans to collaborate with teams, the track, and drivers and add a unique element to the event, which could include adjustments to the race format itself or to the technical elements of the race car. But first, Caleb, my question, first part, thoughts on the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series heading back to North Wilkesboro, and then any hope for the All-Star race there?
Yeah, there's like 2 positives and 2 negatives. The negative, I think, is that like the Cup is losing its points race there. Like I know people maybe weren't a big fan of how that race played out this year, but I think that's a track that needs to be on the Cup schedule as a Cup points race. But to make up for taking away the Cup points race, they're bringing O'Reilly back, and just everybody loves, I feel like, the O'Reilly series and what that car does on all the racetracks, and be super fun to see that, because the trucks and the Cup they've had good moments at North Wilkesboro, but I think the O'Reilly will show like how good of a show that track can put on. So like that's super awesome to see them. And it's like the trade-off, like I'm sad that we're losing that Cup like points race, but we'll be getting O'Reilly there. And then the second part about all the technical elements, like that's another, like the positive is whenever you hear about the input, I feel like everybody's going to focus on maybe less on the format side, but they're going to focus more on that like technical side and try to figure out, hey, what sort of things can we do to the cars to differentiate them a little bit more, or to try to make the racing better on short tracks. But my negative with that one is still just I feel like this car has so much work to be done on it to be improved at some of these places that I don't know that one singular all-star test race or package is going to be enough. Like I feel like this car still needs a lot more work and a lot more testing. And I know that they've used the all-star race before to try different like they did the super speedway package in 2018 that one year, and they've done some of the other things to try different components. But I just feel like using just the one race isn't enough to actually get a full-fledged read on, hey, what direction does this car need to go if we are going to try to keep hanging on with this next gen car. So yeah, you got the positives and the negatives weighing. I'm glad it's still stuck in the schedule, but
so you would say there's 6 or 7 things you're juggling here?
Maybe.
All right.
I did the hand motion. I saw you, Trey.
All right. Well, I'm excited. I think the O'Reilly's is going to put on a banger of a race. I really do. I think it's going to put on a banger of a race, and that's going to be the race of the weekend. It's going to be the best race. Excuse me, that NASCAR has put. Thank you. Has put on since we've joined, or since it's rejoined the series. So I feel bold in that. A man who's won at North Wilkesboro in the All-Star race is Christopher Bell.
Christopher David Bell.
Yeah, who's getting very, 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 very close to getting another win in the NASCAR Cup Series, but keeps falling short this season. Been finishing second. He's our focus for a soundbite of the week.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
And short track races.
It's time for the sound bites of the week.
They felt rock hard during practice. How are the tires overall today?
I mean, it was probably to be expected with the repave. It's slippery. You have a lot of grip until you don't, and then you lose a bunch of grip. So yeah, I would say it was about how I expected.
Thanks, Bob.
Congrats, Coach.
Great day,
Yep. Congrats.
Appreciate it.
So they're going to repave this now after this lap. What do you think of that?
I'm excited about it. Yeah, this place, it was always my favorite racetrack before they did this. So, the repaves, everyone hates repaves, but at least if they do it now, we'll have time for it to age, and it should have been done 2 years ago.
Big picture, now you're up to at least 6th in the points. Just is that at least a positive despite everything?
Yeah, I mean, we had good points. So just you can count the 15 points from the win. Just keep stacking them on top of each other from all the losses that we have. So, yeah, I don't know what to say.
I was going to say, and I know they're not exactly going to drive anywhere near the same, but does this at least give you a little bit more optimism towards Richmond next week, considering some of the parallels?
I mean, I wouldn't say that Iowa gives me any more optimism, but Richmond's typically a good track for us.
Thank you.
Speaking of 6-7, Christopher Bell went from 6 to 7 second place finishes in a row without a win. I know that's hey, that's why Tom Bowles, gave me this podcast. Shout out to Tommy Boy. Anyways, Bell, 7th, another second place finish. Would you blame the racing in this car at this track, or is there a theme with Bell now falling short in the final moments? Is he? And I wasn't going to go out. I don't want him to go out there and, ironically, we're coming to Richmond, pulling Austin Dillon on that last lap, but could he have done more, even though he was racing Ty Gibbs, his teammate, who's also the grandson of the owner, which is feels like a double whammy. It feels like, what do you think? What do you think is needed for Bell? Or is it something in case of maybe once he breaks through with that win, and he does have Adam Stevens who can win, who can win a championship, who's won a championship, come chase time, they're the bill comes due sort of thing where he starts ratting off a couple wins in the chase.
I think that's more the case. Like you talk about that whenever guys get their first win, and then the same can kind of be true whenever a guy has had a string of second place finishes. And
Ty
I mean,
Gibbs.
yeah, and that like the 20 team was, or Christopher Bell was like in control of the race there in the third stage. Like that team got the lead, and from Ryan Blaney, it felt like they did have the fastest car, and Ty Gibbs was kind of about a second back before that tire pit call. There were a few moments, not necessarily on the last lap, but within the last like 10 to 15 laps, there were like 2 or 3 corners where I think Bell had a really good shot to go and try to use the bumper a little bit more. But it's one of those things like you don't want to use the bumper too early and let the guy get back to you. But then also Christopher Bell is a really like respectful racer on the spectrum of where guys like use the bumper or not. And so whether or not that was a teammate, like I don't think he would have necessarily raced anyone else harder. Maybe Kyle Larson. That's the only guy that seems to really those two make contact a lot more than anybody else. But yeah, I don't think he necessarily would have or needed to do anything different. It's just one of those things though for him. Like, I mean, he mentioned it post race. It's kind of funny. Like, also shout out to all the TV crews that like are learning from Prime and doing kind of the more expanded post race breakdown. But Bell's been up there a lot throughout the summer, and today, whether it was the post race interview or up on the stage where they were kind of like, oh, well, like trying to prop him and be like, oh, well, it was a good points day, and he's like, yeah, but that's like 15 more points per race just for winning that you get, and so like I know that's got to be eating away at him, and I think like if he's able to get that win, especially if it comes in the playoffs. And everybody keeps talking about like where you need to be in the points to have a shot at it, and everybody's like, "Oh, like I've heard so many drivers bring up the what if you can have a Tony Stewart style run like he had in 2011?" And I think if there is any driver that's going to be set up for that, just the way the season is laid out, I think it would be Christopher Bell. So you had the 45 team win a lot early, the 11 teams win a lot here in the middle of the season. I think if that 20 team breaks through, they'll take a couple more before the end of the season and could end up raising the trophy at the end of the chase as well. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think Bell needs to do anything different. I think his team has done a pretty great job all around. They just got beat on strategy. It's hard to go on a limb and make a 2-tire call when you have a second lead on the racetrack. So I don't know. It's one of those things. In hindsight, you know what you should have done, but in the moment, it's like, what else can you do? So that team has speed. I think they'll get there.
Also, dirty air. I mean, it felt like to me once Gibbs got in front of Bell, it was a great battle. It was just, like, it's weird to say it was a good battle. It was suspenseful because there were moments, but it never felt like Bell was going to pass him just because I don't trust this car. I don't like. It was not more about Bell's ability and Bell having the better car. I just don't trust this car to be able to give the driver the ability to make that move. Now, this was if this was the O'Reilly series, I think Bell passed because he had the better car. Clearly did. Bell
Absolutely,
had the
yeah.
So I just it's another time where I'm frustrated with the next gen car. So, anyways, let's finish this. Ty Gibbs got the checkered flag first. Checkered flag first. Say that 3 times fast. Let's get ours right now.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Thoughts? Anything you want to rant, rave, or review? Caleb Barnes, the floor is yours.
Well, Christopher Bell kind of mentioned it in his soundbite, and then one of the recurring themes from the weekend where people talking about the repave, and you had some of the people like, "Oh, this Iowa's been so great the last few years, so we don't need to repave it." But I'm kind of with Bell. Like, if they would have paved it the right way in year one, like that multi-groove racing that we kind of saw, like them using the high lane and kind of the middle lane in that little like squeezed area, they would have been able to do that all the way to the wall. Like that's Iowa has that progressive banking. We've seen that be really good at Kansas. North Wilkesboro, I think, had that with their repave, and that's something that I feel like has helped. That the All-Star race last year at North Wilkesboro was really good, and another guy, Christopher Bell, was involved in that one too. Just because it does give guys in this car that's so bad with dirty air. It gives them more options to run high, run low, and spread out. And so I, for one, am going to be the one to stand up and say, I'm actually glad that they're repaving Iowa. I know people seemed after the race to be like, oh, this was such a great race. Why do we need to repave this place? But I mean, again, they should have done this 2 years ago whenever they repaved it in the first place, which I don't remember if they were filling in patches and then just decided to repave the lower lanes in the corner. I don't remember the thought process that led into that, because part of me feels like it was kind of like almost like a rush job. Like they showed up for testing or something and realized, oh, this place has a new layer of pavement in the lower lanes. But yeah, I'm glad that we're actually going to see the full, like, these guys will finally be able to run back up next to the wall again. That's something that made Iowa so great before, when the Xfinity, now O'Reilly series, ran there. So yeah, I for one am happy. I'm just going to say it. I'm happy that they're repaving Iowa.
Yeah, I like that idea. Repave Iowa. I think it's going to go well. Let's just do it right and hope
Do it right. Yes.
Do it right. I highly recommend that. For me, we're heading to Richmond. So, I love that place. I will say something controversial. Michael Massey, please cover your ears. I'm glad I like that it's one weekend. I think it makes the race interesting. It gives the vibe back. It's also in a unique spot since it's like the only Saturday night race of the season. I like that. I would love Richmond has 2 dates for me, like me personally, but I understand if I want my track, like the track that made me fall in love with this and the reason I'm sitting here, it's better to have one night. And so I'm excited for Richmond. Will not be there. Watching it on my TV with my father is cool, being back, because I am back in the Richmond area. So that will be fun. It'll be nostalgic.
Trey, with that being a Saturday night race, and the Saturday night, there's all talks about TV ratings, and seeing what the numbers were for this past Sunday, you think you see much of a decrease? You think it'll be about the same from what we saw this past Sunday?
I don't care. Probably a decrease, but who knows?
I'm glad Saturday night is back.
Yeah. I'll just say this: it is a very unique experience to watch a race and hear the engines, and you can faintly hear the engines from my house. You can see the flyover. They fly over my house, my parents' house, to go to the track. So, you follow Caleb Barnes at Caleb Barnes _. You can check out me at Trey Lyle VT. Make sure you check out Through the Gears with Michael and Chris. Chris is in Michigan this week, so I don't know if he's helping out Michael this week, but Michael will be back with the best picks from Richmond for Richmond. Michael Massey and Luke and Glover will have your coverage for us in Richmond in the 804 in the action track, which there's no O'Reilly's race, which is disappointing because that would be a great race.
Yeah.
But anyway, for Caleb Barnes, I'm Trey Lyle, signing off now on another great edition of Bring the Heat. Bye, everybody.